Recording. That's important. All right, Maria. I feel like it
Howdy.
has been forever. I've seen you
I
all over
know.
the gram. I'm like, tell me, what would you like some coaching on today? Or give us a win first.
Um, I think my win is that I've had consults and then I have like another one coming up this month, which feels really good because I feel like I've in 2023 I had like maybe my record like low of consults.
Yep.
Like what
It was
I can feel like even the like my I think a lot of 2023 I was like I was wanting consults but not like really believing that they were coming. um and I don't know, there's something about just like uh, the when I was setting goals for 2024 and like feeling really ready to like commit to them, and yeah, with like social, just like marketing, whatever, it feels like they're kind of like things are happening.
things are freaking
So
happening.
like people that are like, I want to do this. I have to, like feeling not, this is like an insight we had like maybe like last year at this time.
I think
But like
so.
when people are like, hey, like, I don't know that I can pull this from my personal budget, not taking that as like they don't want it enough, like almost
Mhm.
judging them for like, oh, they must not want it enough. They're not going to pay completely out of pocket when there's totally like an opportunity for them to get it paid for by their company. And the more I'm like, let's figure out how to get your company to pay for it, is like such more like open energy around it. And like being on their team is so much more fun too. So I feel like I have a couple people like working through that process. And then like another consult this month. So that just feels cool and good.
I'm so freaking proud of you, lady. And I remember that conversation, and I remember like the shifts that you've made, like as a mom. Like, I mean, like this has been such a big year, and I feel like you have grown so much. And I want to know what I can help you with now. I'm like, this is, and I've seen, I don't know if anyone else has been seeing this on your social as well, but I really do feel like you've really like, you're like, I'm owning who I am. I am creating like such a great appetizer. I'm so excited for you. And I want to see what would you like a shift for today?
Thanks. Okay, so we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I'm working on this talk.
Hmm.
No,
The
it's not.
dog.
Okay. I'm doing like I want to I basically I have like such a combination of supportive thoughts, and then there's also just like the I can still feel the like weight of, and I don't like need it to feel like I actually think things sometimes are easier when we admit that they're hard.
Okay.
Like
Love it.
being in the like when something actually is kind of like, no, this is like a challenge. Like I was reading a book too, like the difference between a challenge like levels you up, a struggle just levels you, which I
Oh,
love
so good.
that. And I don't think life is meant to like get rid of all challenge or get rid of like anything that's, I think challenge can be like empowering and good and cool. Anywho, um I'm like got I feel like I just need like a re-up. Like I'm like
Yep.
in this place where I'm like I'm in that part. I was like writing about this the other day. Like I'm in the part where like when you first start something and it's like either it's like new goals or like any new project. The beginning you're like motivated and you have like the excitement. Like you maybe get like I got coached that time. I was like, okay, I can do this. And that, but like the actual hardest part is when you get like you're kind of in the middle
Yep.
and you're like, okay, I just need to like keep taking the actions
Hmm.
of
It's
like
hard.
doing the thing and like writing stuff down and then changing, like changing my mind. And then like I'm kind of in that spot. And I'm like, okay, I need to like, I've been like doing some self coaching. I'm having like, yeah, like I'm kind of like I'm towing the line between like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing and I've totally like put together I've totally like done this kind of thing before. Maybe it hasn't been like in this specific format of a talk, but like I know how to put my ideas into like a 45-minute to 60-minute chunk of time. I know how to make a deck. I know how to like do all the pieces. Um,
So let's just
and I
like,
think so as I'm saying this out loud, I think the thing I've been getting caught on, or that I was like, it felt like I was kind of getting caught on it yesterday, but then I also was like, hey, like, this is how you figure this stuff out. Is like the structure of the talk is like a little bit of an intro and then talking about like the problem and like it's like women have like tons of demands on them. And then it's like the the theme of the conference is cracking the code. So like there's a little section on like the code that I want to crack for you today is, and that code is like, how do you build career resilience? And I talk about like the why resilience is important. And then like the second half of the talk is like more of like my teachings of like, here's my three things that I want to the three tools I want to like give to you.
mhm.
And I kind of have been like dancing around like changing like questioning, I think. Like
Mhm.
I think this part actually feels like kind of I'm like how do I'm trying to like distill I'm trying to distill like and I'm not trying to fit everything that I've ever talked about or taught
Life.
in my like business in this thing.
Mhm.
Um
So
but I'm also not trying to go so narrow that I'm only addressing like one thing. And so I think part of my mind is like questioning whether that's wrong. Like I know it's not nothing's wrong.
yeah.
Um
Well, here's just a first thought, okay?
yeah,
I just
thanks.
want you to like if you get a chance to watch this back or something, I want you to listen. I think everyone on this call has heard there are two versions of you.
Yes.
And I think everyone's going to experience this in the course of your business, the level you're at and the level you're going, seeing
Mm.
both and being in the river of misery. It's like I've
Ooh.
literally like heard you. It's almost like Jekyll and Hyde. It's like two different versions of you where you're like very grounded, settled, and I like know what I'm doing. And then it's like, oh my God, but like, is it right? Do I know what I'm saying? Like, it's just really interesting. And I know that all of us are going to experience this. And the interesting thing is, after that keynote speaker in March, after you finish that speech, you're going to be a different person on the other side of it. The person
Yeah,
that's
and
going to
there's
bring,
like these
yeah,
moments where I'm like, I'm in it and I'm kind of like, okay, and I have the moment of I
you're on
really
one
feel
bank,
like I'm total that's like thank you for saying fucking river of misery is
the
like so
fucking river. You're in it.
um
Surprise.
but it does it feel yeah like I will be like yesterday I kind of had like an off week last week, but like yesterday I was like, okay, it might not look like I like made a lot of progress, but I was like with myself and like sitting here with it and doing it and like thinking about it and like I made more progress than it maybe like looked like on paper. And I was totally like doing that where I'm like I kept having the thought like, yes, I'm kind of figuring this out right now and like figuring out like how this format is going to work. And so that I can like give a freebie and give away free coaching and then like kind of offer my services at the end. And have it like flow and like have the freebie kind of track to make sense with what I said in the talk and like doing like working this out. I'm going to be like such a like it's giving me like so many insights about how I can make so much of more of my messaging clear. Like
Oh,
I can see that when you're saying like the version of you when it's done is going to be like
I just want to
it's the
access her
first
now.
time kind of I feel like yeah.
You're really seeing it and you're seeing how much this has helped you. But the thing that's going to help you to really, first off, the goal isn't ever to be like, I think that we always shift in our self concept. But what I want you to do is I want you to create a vision for yourself after the talk and during the talk.
Okay.
I want you to think about who she is because I think right now, I think our everyone's gut instinct, of course, mine is to get into the A line, right? Is to like when you're feeling the shift and the pull of your self concept, is to go straight to what am I saying? What does the actual deck look like? What is
Yeah.
this? Versus, I want you to like think about like who you want to be on the other side of this talk. Who do you
Yes.
want to be by the end of March? It's like, what does this business look like? What in that version of you is going to take you to the other side of the bank? It's like the version of you. So it's like that past self is really strong and you've caught glimpses of the future self and you're trying to access the other side of the bank with pieces of memory and a line from your past, right? You're like, I've done
Mhm.
this before and I and we want to use that, but I want you to think about like who are you going to be on the other side of the bank? What does like if you could give me a couple of words that come up as I say that, what do you
Yeah.
want your life to look like on the other side of this?
Um,
And this
do
goes
you
for
mean like
everybody.
in
Like
my
even at the end of February, what do I want my life and business to look like by the end of February? How am I shifting
I
it?
think like okay, so one thing is like I keep writing like I will be like I'm a keynote speaker, which is like badass as shit. And I know we talked about like I've been writing that in my like who are you becoming for like a year, like 2 years probably, as just like a thing that I might do someday.
Well, you
And now it's
mentioned
like
badass.
here.
Like
And
what is the not?
I'm also trying to be like, I have a vision of that woman of like, she travels and like speaks around the country or whatever. And I'm like, in it now, I'm like, this is hard. I'm uncomfortable. That, you know what I mean? Like the disconnect of how you visualize, like, oh, I'm like jet setting around in my like power suit, or
Yup.
whatever. And how you see other people, you visualize other people, like you see other people are like, that's a keynote speaker. And that looks like breezy, easy. And that's an Instagram like that's an Instagram moment. Anywho, like I'm also like, enjoy this. Like you can, this is like you can, I'm trying to like access like have fun. Like this is cool. And this can also be like, yes, it's like a challenge because it's your first time, but this is also like cool and fun. Um, but then, okay, what was the question? What do you want your life in? I think like one thing that's coming to mind is like so much more clarity in like how I talk about, which is like just a constant evolution, to be honest. Like I think more honestly, like my brain wants to think that I will arrive on some day and be like, now all of the pillars and like the concepts underneath them are perfectly clear and it's all like this, blah, blah, blah. And that's like
Wouldn't that be awesome?
always just going to be like an evolution, I think.
It
And I'm also just like giving myself a little bit more permission to like get like be inspired by like other executive coaches. Um, and like realizing that like I wrote down the other day, I'm like, my job isn't necessarily to have like every single original thought. It's also about like reading other people's research, which I love like reading books about psychology and like other people's ideas. And like it's like part of my job is like consolidating and like pulling the most valuable information. And I always think about like Stacey Bayman because I feel like she's always like, no, just literally copy what I'm doing. Like
would.
she's never like,
Literally just like do the exact same
and
thing.
I was thinking back to like I'm like in my corporate career, like I took, not that it's about like taking other people's work, but I was like, I was like, I think I get, yeah, like I was inspired by a million different things that I would pull together into like my version of it. And that's amazing. And that's
Well,
like like we talked about that last time. Like that's the magic. It's like how I say it,
yes.
or
And I
like the
want you to
stories
like
that I want to share that are related to the idea of, you know,
what do
like,
you there's have you ever heard of the disco ball theory? I think you're gonna like this.
no. Oh,
So
maybe.
it's
No.
essentially where you see the qualities that you admire in others are things that are reflected within yourself. So it's like
Oh,
if you see something that you are talking about, like being inspired by other executive coaches, I want you to think about what are your thoughts about those other executive coaches? Because those are things that you have within yourself. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about like who you want to be, like what do you want to think about yourself? What do you want to
yeah.
feel about yourself? And then you'll be able to get clarity on what are the three tools you want to teach. Then the A line will become very clear because you'll know who you are. You'll be like,
Yeah.
I'm stepping in as a leader of this. It's like I'm leading a movement. I am leading this movement of women in business, in corporations. I want to help them step into leadership. I want to help them feel empowered to create balance. I want to show them that delegation is empowering and is the way that they can become stronger and like, you know what I mean? It's like, what are
Yeah.
the thoughts that
I
you,
think like I think it's like, um, I think that the thought is like everything that I say is like gonna blow their mind. Like it's like and it's not, it's like everything that I say will be so valuable. And
Mhm.
so that takes the pressure off of like exactly which things I'm like pulling out, which is true. And that's why it's like, that's why it's also been like, I think I'm kind of like considering all options and like, oh, maybe I should talk about that, or maybe I should. It's like, no, like you have like 3 to 4 points, and like you could take all of them out and put 4 other points, and it would still be fucking like so valuable. And I think that's like when I'm inspired, like I want to believe that about myself. I think that's like maybe the a nice kind of like um a nice mindset to be sitting in like for today while I'm working on this. And
Well, how you
it's also
feel.
like what I see about other, like as I'm kind of like I'm reading like a few books right now and like pulling stats and whatever, and I'm like um that's like the first thing I'm like, wow, like each chapter is like super awesome. And like I'm seeing how they're putting together like their stories and like the format. And it's like the same thing you've taught me. It's like, what's the problem? Maybe tell a story about it. Say like why we're like you're not doing it, and then give the like what's the like issue,
Solution.
and then the solution. I'm like, oh, okay, like it's here. This I know how to do that. Um,
Well, and
yeah,
so I want you to think about like how you feel when you think like everything I do, everything I say will be so valuable. Everything I say will blow their mind. What emotion comes up there for you?
I think like certainty.
Yes. And I feel like there's a smidge of confidence here.
Yeah, totally. There's like confidence. It's like there's kind of like a the yeah like the feeling of like being like inspiration or feeling inspired. I feel like also a sense of like that grounded calmness that you feel when you're
Mhm.
not like um when you like know in your bones like no, I can do this, like I I've got it. And like I was, yeah, last night in bed I was like, because I was like last night I was like, we finished dinner, we have like we had some guests this weekend, and my brain was like, you should go write like your social copy for this week, 'cause you didn't really do that, like you should get a couple more things done. But I know my like higher self knows that I've been like really tired, and that I should get in bed and
Yes.
like go to sleep. And I was like, remember, and I had a flashback to like this like before and after of my like former career, whenever like when
Hmm.
I was burnt out, the thing that I would do would be like work. I would keep trying to work late, like after hours, because I was like insecure about like thinking that I wouldn't get it done the next day. Like I
Mhm.
didn't have the trust in myself.
The
And something
trust.
switched when I just said like I'm done at 6. That's the time, and I go to bed and I like get rest and I like I would and then if it's not done, I will do it. I'll like start it first thing in the morning, and like that I started to build the trust in myself that like no, you will get it done. You will like it, and you have more energy to actually do the thing when you take a break and you rest. Like all those things can like are the opposite cycle of like the bad side, you know what I mean? They snowball into something like better. And I'm like, okay, that is
Well, and
I was able to like access that again.
I think the one thing I want to offer to you is that this version of you, you're having a lot of clarity around it. You're having a
Yeah.
lot of clarity around her. I can hear a difference in your voice. I
Mm-hmm.
want you to know that your past self is going to come up the whole time. And every, like,
Totally.
for all of us, instead of like being surprised and being like, oh, it's like
Ooh.
I'm nervous again and I feel like I feel unclear and I'm feeling insecure, whatever emotions that you know are your old go-tos, I guarantee they're going to come up. That is
Yeah,
your,
thank you. I think
it's
that's
80% of the time. Like it's like until you really shift into this next version of yourself, which is probably going to be fully potentially after this comp. So I want you to figure out a plan when it's like expect the expected. Right before you get on, your brain is gonna be berating you. It's gonna be like, you don't know what you're doing. This is crazy. They're so much better than you. What do you mean? I want you to come up with a contingency plan to be
yeah.
like, this is how I'm gonna work through and make sure that past self feels safe. Because you putting yourself into a new self concept in a new oh, what's the word? New self concept, new environment. You know what I mean? It's like you're creating this new opportunity for yourself to really step into this next version of yourself. I want you to like plan for that ahead of time. Use
This is so
strategic
yeah.
pessimism.
Even just um yeah, even just kind of like being like knowing that you know what I mean? Like it's so funny how like your past self comes up and then you're like, what are you doing? You're like surprised.
Yep. Expect the expected.
Um, I forget that all the time.
And like, so I think that what happens is if you can get into a place, if we think about the polyvagal theory, because you know it's my shit. So
Oh yeah,
when,
I
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
it's like I need to be like, hey, you have every right to be scared.
Yes. Literally, you have every right to be scared. Hey, nothing's gone wrong here. Of course you're scared. This is something new
Yeah.
and interesting. Of course. Nothing's gone wrong here. What do you need to feel safe? And if
I
you can fight anxiety, like not fight anxiety, but like overcome and be like, oh, because then you won't be. What happens is we want to expect that you're going to feel anxious, panic, and fear probably the day of.
yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
has gone wrong. This is exactly the way you're supposed to feel. And if it becomes a part of your feeling plan to feel the not negative, but like, these uncomfortable emotions, if
Yeah.
you know that that's already going to happen, when they come up, there's no surprise. You're like, of
Right.
course, this is exactly how I'm supposed to feel. Of course, this is exactly like, and then you can actually meet it with a settled, like, hey, it's like, I know you're here. What do you need? I know you're here. I expected you. I planned for you. I've got this awesome room for you to hang out in. It's okay. I want you to watch. I want you to see this like next level. And like just ask that part of you, like, what does it need to feel safe?
Yeah. Um, the thing that's coming to mind is like, and this is thinking ahead like a few weeks because so okay, first, the day like I I like I almost like flew like booked flights and stuff where I was like arriving and it was just like boom, 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 boom. And it was gonna be like the whole event. Like I was gonna speak at the end and now I'm speaking first, which I'm actually stoked about because then I have the rest of the conference like network after everyone's heard what I have to say, just
Yes, it's
even
huge.
better, like in my opinion.
Hmm.
Because like then it won't be like I spoke, everyone's like, wow, and then I'm like, okay, bye, I have to catch a flight.
Hmm.
But I'm arriving the day before. Like I'm already giving I was like, cannot like show up and then just like drive there in a tizzy and like get on. Like I need to like, especially for this like first time kind of doing this, I need to arrive. I need to like go to bed early and like do all the like I need to have space. And so I think on the day of the talk, like I will have all day to kind of like prep or whatever. I want to like look at that day and schedule it and like schedule the time to like be like, okay, let's panic. Like schedule it
Yes.
ahead of time a little
Schedule
bit.
some
And
panic time. Yep.
yeah, and I think like that's like the day of for sure. And like I think like giving myself time to like specifically feel those feelings and then also like guide myself through like a meditation. Like I might, like pick something out ahead of time so it's not, I don't have to be like problem solving for that,
Yes.
doing like thought work, etc. But I think this is like applicable for like all of the moments before now that it's going to come up too.
Yes. And I just
Um,
want you
and
like
so it might be
literally
like when
every
I do, like at the beginning of the day or before I start working, like just like doing the thought download of like, here's all the feelings
and I think I
and
mentioned,
validating for
sorry, I
myself.
was like, I think that like I mentioned, so I did this presentation when I was in California for all these other people, and it was interesting to hear. It's like we did this sound bath, which like I've never done a sound bath before. And it was essentially just like lay if you haven't done a sound bath, you just
I
lay
love
there
it.
and they like do like these sound bathy things. Like they just, like play different sounds. It was like jazzy. I was so in my head right before we did this that I was just like panicking the full time.
Oh
You know what I
no.
mean? I was like, oh my God. And I felt like I couldn't leave because I was in this state. I would
Uh-huh.
also experience this. Went to the life coach school mastermind and I felt myself like really getting into like a funky place. I was like, I have a lot of fears around visibility. I was going on stage that day to accept like the award and things like that. And I just like didn't allow myself time to leave and like process, be okay, and then come back. I
Yeah.
want you to also know that like I want you to plan stuff ahead of time. And I also want you to have the feeling that like I can take a moment to myself at any point. Nothing
Yeah.
has gone wrong. And
Yeah.
because I forced myself to go to certain things and I went to like this karaoke night and I had a full on panic attack in the alley. Like I was literally like
Oh no,
full
I'm so
on.
sorry.
I was crying and I was just like, I don't know what is happening. I got way too here, like way past it. And a friend of mine was like, what the fuck? Are you okay? Do you want to come to dinner? And I was like, yeah, I was like, oh, that'll be fine.
Oh,
It's like one of those things that like we want to expect the expected. We know that your nervous system is probably going to be triggered. You're stepping into a version of yourself that you've always dreamed of. And also expect the unexpected too and allow yourself space. Like I know a lot of us we can hold ourselves to like especially like being visible and you're like I want to make sure I talk with these people and I want to make sure I'm networking and I'm creating all these opportunities for myself. And I also want to offer that like you don't have to do everything that you plan to. If you need to leave a
yeah.
session, if you need to take
Yep.
a minute for yourself, that is okay too. And that's just from
Yes.
my personal experience. And I've heard that happens for, I was like, a lot of people I know that have like gotten to like this like level. They're like, oh my God, visibility. It's like triggering for all of us because, like, humans, rejection, failure, abandonment, our core wounds. So, of course, it makes sense. And I just want you to like know if that happens, nothing has gone wrong, but please take time for yourself too.
Yeah. Like I would love like if anyone else on the call has ideas about like what they do.
Yeah.
Um
Also, there's a request for you to create a book list for all of us from Harmony in
oh
the
really?
stream.
Where?
That would be awesome.
A book
Harmony
list.
was like, I would love to know what books you
Wait,
read.
what books for what? For
You
executive
mentioned like a bunch of different books that you were reading about getting statistics for people, and like it was interesting to hear their thought process. So if you have a moment later, feel free to share this with.
Yeah. I am like a kind of a book slut, so you came to the right place. Although I read, yeah, don't get, this is gonna go on. Like, yes, I'll say, I don't, I
Send
will,
book recs in the stream.
like any books,
Yeah.
or like coaching books.
Well, coaching books probably. I was like, but also fun books. We can start a book club. I was
I
like,
read a lot of like psychology books too, though,
yes, yes, I would
which
love
I
to
feel
see
like
that.
is like very parallel to coaching.
Hell yeah, it is. But
Um,
I didn't
but
mean to
I'm reading
interrupt
this
your
book right
question.
now that's like
Yeah.
it's called The New Playbook for Women at Work. And
Ooh.
I'm reading it and being like, oh yeah. Like I'm like applying it to my career. But it's about like more like it's all about like high performing women, but this woman who's awesome, like she does such a good job of like incorporating stories. I mean, there's like stories about Simone Biles. She pulls from her like her book of clients, like real life stories, um, to like explain these ideas like perfectionism, you know, like releasing external validation, like all of these things that women, I think it's definitely like for it's like for any high performing woman, which is like anyone on this call. I think it's a little bit more geared toward like people working for companies, like in the corporate world, but the ideas are, I think, pretty universal.
I love that. Well,
What's
we'll
her name?
start a whole like book
Nancy.
list. I was like, I'm gonna do it right now before I
Hmm.
forget. But
That is such a
oh
good
shit, I
idea.
also totally forgot. Sorry. But wait, go back. ADHD is on fire. Um, First you asked a question. You asked if anyone else on the call has tips for how to regulate yourself in moments like this. Does anyone want to like share really quickly something that they that has helped them? Or I can give a couple of other like polyvagal or things to help.
Oh my gosh, playing.
Anybody have any? I can give you a couple of ideas. I
Yeah, I would love them.
so with actually, did you guys know Lindsay Dodslov?
You want to know what I do
Oh yeah,
when I
already
have
go
to speak in
ahead.
front of have to speak in front of people?
What do you do?
I do that for my work a lot, my full-time job. I just like to, I mean, this is a silly tip, to imagine everybody taking a shit. Like they're just a human person. Yeah, it's just like it's that impressive to me. It's like they're a human being, they all take a shit, and it's going to be all fine. I This is
Ooh.
my way of like calming down.
That
Like we are
is
the
so
same level.
aggressive. I love it.
So
I
I go
support
back to
all
poop
the things
then.
that support you.
Yeah, I
I don't
love
know.
that though. The idea that like
Everybody shits.
there's this idea in Buddhism that's like when you like put someone like on a pedestal or like when you're like over kind of like fantasizing about someone else being like, you know, like it works for like I think if you're like in a comparison trap with like a specific person or like they talked about it whenever you're like you like have desire for someone else that like isn't your person to be desiring like if you're like on the verge of cheating or something they're like humans are truly just like a bag of slob. Like we are just like a skin bag of like muscle and
A
like
meat
guts
sack.
and
Nice.
like snot and poop, like kind of like, yeah, it just like brings it down to like,
That's hilarious.
yeah, like it's,
Well, yeah,
I am safe.
I love
Like,
this. I don't think that anybody thought this was going to be the topic of our call today, but you're welcome. I was like, six
yeah.
figure systems, let's go. Slob and shit. Let's go. I love this though. I think this
I know, I
I
don't really like love, I mean,
the pooping analogy, it might do it for you, it might not. And we just are
I
both
kind of,
okay
I
with
like
it.
tend to, I think I'm like a little bit more oriented toward like, um, of like thinking of myself as like a really lovable person.
That
Like
is great. I was like,
of
we love
like
that.
of like I like
That's
I
better.
can access the empathy I have for people when they're like getting up and speaking And like I'm gonna trust that that everyone in the room is having empathy for me too.
I love
Even
that.
if like and if they're yeah, like if they're judging me, then they're like probably going through like a hard time.
Yes. And I've got a podcast about it's called Family Reunion Perfection. It's a very old Jody Moore. I've listened to it, I swear to God, like 30 times, probably more. If that tells you anything about like my lovely family dynamics, who I adore. But within that, she gives a lot of good tips about like things to do, ways to think about people, and I'll share that with you guys as well, making a note to do that mentally. I'm just going to show you a couple of quick regulating activities. If you guys want to do this with me, feel free to. You don't
Yeah.
have to, but I think it'd be helpful. The first one is it's called it's like a vision swap. And what you're doing is you are focusing. I want you like hold up something at like a foot away from your face, and you're using this object. And what you're going to do is you're first going to focus on the object, focus on something behind it. Focus on the object, focus on something behind it, focus on the object, focus on something behind it, not changing really your, just changing your perspective and depth that you're looking at this same area. That's something that's supposed to be able to help you regulate. The next thing is to take your fingers and go finger to finger and like go get some tactile things going on. Sorry, Demetria, you jumped in for us doing regulating activities. So welcome. We are looking like crabs. So it's like that's one. Another one that I do is when I'm on a call with somebody and I feel like myself getting triggered. If you can look, it's like the 5 4 3 2 1 method. So you look at 5 things and name them. So you could be like flowers, clock, drink, lamp, internally, obviously, keyboard. And then it's just activating your 5 senses. Essentially, what happens is when you get activated, your mental capacity is really right, like running the show. So it's like you are really like in your head. We have to get out of your head into your body a little bit. So that's where you can do the 5 4 3 2 1, which is look for 5 things, listen for 4 things, touch 3 things, or maybe it's like touch, listen, switch those. 2 things that you smell, and then 1 thing to taste. And like I'll take like a drink of my water. Like I'm sure it's happened on maybe our coaching call, and I'll just be like, uh-huh. And I was like doing it, and like internally, I'm like, I'm kind of freaking out, but I'm like, okay, it's fine. Nothing's gone wrong. My body's just like telling me there's an alarm going off, and I'll coach on it later. The other thing is that my favorite is bilateral stimulation. So it's taking both hemispheres, your right and left hemisphere, and take that same item and pass it back and forth.
Yeah.
That also activates both hemispheres. So there's just a couple ones if you get really triggered that you can do that are like that are really discreet, I found. um, and I think that could be really helpful.
Thank you
It,
so much.
of course, I love you.
I am. Oh,
EFT
sorry.
is not something you would do like while you were with somebody, but if you have any exposure to EFT, that can help, before
Yeah.
your big thing or whatever it is that's activating you coming up. Something you could do preemptively to just
Yes.
tapping just to regulate your nervous system. And yeah, I know y'all are all too young to have seen broadcast news, but it is a hilarious, great thing. And they have Holly Hunter's a executive producer of a very fast-paced news show. And just every morning she gets up and she cries. She like looks at her watch and like for 5 minutes, she just cries. And then she stops and then she goes takes a shower. So it's a great emotional release if you.
Ooh, I like that.
I think
Yeah.
it actually could help. I really do.
How does she say about like, does she just think about something really sad? Or like, I'm sure someday she wakes up and she's like, I have plenty to cry about. Did it
Yeah.
say?
I mean, it's the character that she plays that does this. So
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying it was a documentary, like a real person.
no.
I used to watch like the beginning of Up for like that. I literally would like force myself sometimes to be like, okay, I feel like I need to cry. I don't know why. But like, have you guys ever like I just YouTubed it, the beginning of the movie Up, and it's like really sad. Like the wife dies and stuff. And
Oh yeah.
spoiler, it's at the very beginning. I was like, so it's not really that much of a spoiler, hopefully. It's like pretty well known by now. But yeah, I like literally just like would just like put it on in college and I would be like, okay, I just need to cry for a little bit in the library. And then I'm back. And it was like literally like I would do that all the time.
You're just laughter too. Is it something else that you could do? Like if there's
Yep.
a, there's a whole laugh yoga, thing where you laugh. And anyway, just all of these things are just like taking the pressure valve and
Yes.
letting the steam out.
Yeah.
Yes.
The only thing I was going to say is like actually like processing the emotion like before you go on stage, right? It's like feeling it in the body. Because when I'm nervous, I can feel it like shaking in my body.
Totally.
So just like when you process emotion and like normally if you're being coached to do it, when you do it, it dissipates and you after it you feel a lot calmer. So I would just like put my hand on my chest and feel it, allow it to be there, go through it until it sort of calms down.
You know what?
And
I
then
actually
the
just
other thing I
remembered.
learned ages ago, I can't remember, I read a book, but in fact, I listened to it, it was like a hypnosis book or something. And I fell asleep during it, so I'm like, I don't know if I was hypnotized or not, but anyway, it was about getting an anchor. So you could choose your anchor. And then, so for example, the one that I did in this book was like, because you don't want it to be obvious or noticeable, is similar to what you said, just my middle finger and my thumb. So I can be standing, and once I'm holding, like if I feel myself stressing out, when I hold them together, it just kind of grounds me. Do you know what I mean? And it reminds me like it's okay and you're okay and all that. So it's just everyone gets different anchors, but yeah, find yourself an anchor and relate it to that before you go on stage. And then when you're on stage, if you can do it subtly, it helps. That's what I found.
Amazing. You're
And
reminding me
when,
of another thing too that I used to do that I know works for me, which is doing power poses in the bathroom
yeah,
stall. I would
Mm.
like go into the large one and just be in there like
Like
um but I thought it was funny that I'm like and I kind of liked it because I'm like I'm just in here doing my thing.
that
Nobody
too.
knows.
Well, and I also just like I'm so excited because I feel like a lot of us are like what other like I just want to continue like if anybody we're all going to get more visible. I was thinking about you guys and I was thinking about like where we're going to be like 6 years from now. And I was just like, "Oh my goodness. We are going to be in very different places." I was just like 6 months, 6 years, I don't know. My brain just like went there. But I was like, we're all going to be getting more visible as these years go on. Like I am so excited to just like think about like, oh, I don't know, getting on my feels. But in 2030, like what in the world? We're gonna be doing the damn things. And it's just like we already are. And it's just like insane. And I just can't wait to like look back and be like these things are things I hope you take with you like just knowing that like it's safe to feel and it's okay to regulate yourself and that now we have resources to help us become even bigger like lights in the world that we're supposed to be. It just like really gets me excited and I'm just like oh I'm so proud of you guys and it's just like it's awesome. I just like I really appreciate this conversation. I know it went like quite some time but I really do think that the reason for it was that we're all going to get really big and we need to know how to do this stuff to make the impact in the world we're supposed to do. So really, really awesome. Thank you, Maria, for bringing this today. If
Thank
anybody
you.
and
has
can I
any
add
other ideas,
something? A last
yeah,
one thing,
yes, of
because
course.
I think you can also regulate while you're on stage. Like the way
Yes.
I do
Oh,
it is having
yes.
also my power pose on stage, being very comfortable and pretty extended, not trying to hide, and then making sure I make contact. And I would do like this, like real contact if the audience is not too far. And then I tend to speak fast, and the faster I speak, and then I'm unregulated, so I slow down.
Yes. I think that is so, so huge to like, and I notice when I start to, it usually is when I start a webinar presentation, I start really fast. And so instead, I envision myself going slow. Harmony, I'm so with you. And I was like, I think that if you guys think of any other things, I'm just gonna add them here. Like, feel free to add them. The other thing that this reminded me of is that completely unrelated. Maria, are you feeling complete, by the way? Are you feeling good? Amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course, we love you and we're cheering you on. So within this, I also know that season is coming up, and I know that there's this thing that is you probably might have heard of, you might not have heard of, called a profit and loss statement. It's something that you will be doing for your accountant to do finances, and I know very little about it. But one of my clients, Tammy in the other group, she was a financial advisor for years. She is now a coach, but we're going to do a profit and loss workshop next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And she's bringing on one or two of her other friends that can help you guys kind of like take a look at your finances in another way. I'm going to be giving you a profit and loss spreadsheet that you can fill out. It is usually this would be something that's done in QuickBooks, so we'll talk about that as well. But if you have any questions about this, please put them in here. There's a whole form for it, and we'll answer them on 2/26. So feel free to put any questions that you have for us there. And I also want to let you know, I think that she literally I posted about this in 3 groups, and I'm not sure if she's booked already, but she's already had like 4 consults. So she was like, if you guys want, my social media manager is doing some more she's taking on some more clients. And you guys have seen my shift with social. I think you guys were like at the very start of my shift of working with her. She's awesome. I would say that like I'm using her for copy for PR now as well. I haven't personally used her for PR yet, but I'll definitely keep you posted if this is something that you're interested in. I do the basic social. That's mine. I don't necessarily like that's my thing for her. I haven't heard her do copywriting for me or the newsletters, but I feel like she would do a really great job. This is her email if you want to reach out.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah, of course.
What does she do? Like, if you write the content and you record the videos,
She
like
literally
what?
just
She's just
takes
posting.
she's just posting. I needed that. And that was something that like I felt like was really helpful like for somebody else to do this, put the stuff on here for me. I have
Oh,
found
like
that
so she puts all the words and stuff on it.
yep, she puts all the words on it. I
That's
write
what's exciting.
this
Okay.
and I
And what
write
about the hashtags? Do you still do that?
I do, but that takes me like 2 seconds. So
Okay.
she usually posts them. I just need to like add them today. Um,
And does she create the graphic?
she creates the graphic,
Okay.
which is nice. This one was created by Nikisha. It was on her podcast, but these she all creates for me. So that's been really helpful
But
for me. It just takes one
okay,
like
no, it was
I
just
realized,
interesting to know, like, if you're
yeah.
creating it and doing the videos and speaking, I'm like, what do they do?
What
But
is she
okay.
actually doing? Now, I know other clients, I'll give you guys some like perspective. She does Holly's, all of hers. Holly doesn't give her anything. So I think this would be like the $1,000 offer. Holly gives her the videos, but like all these things, all of the captions, I guess that wasn't a very in-depth one. But like she'll write the captions for some of this stuff. Feel free to take it or roll with it. Um, and then I'll put her link here. I'll just put this here. Holly. And she does. It was essentially like people who just didn't want to do social at all. And I'm like, I would recommend that you probably do some social. I was like, so, and she does Barbara's as well. So they don't do anything. And we're working together to like for her to like learn how to make their own content. Um, Barbara. Did I spell Barbara wrong? My brain. Anyways, Barbari. There we go. I was like, I did spell it wrong. Yeah, so those are two other people who she does. Oh, and Neha. She does Neha social now too. So she's another person. She just started doing hers as well. So you can see, and like you can tell the shift. So it was like here versus I think she started taking it over here. Just looks a little bit more professional, a little bit more polished. So that's what I would do. But yeah, that is the two updates. I apologize. I was like, I just forgot to announce those completely. So there we go. Those are my updates. I think Nadia, I had you next, and then I had Armony. I think Armony, did you raise your hand? Or did you just like did you raise your hand? Okay, good. Okay. Nadia.
Okay.
Start with a win and then bring
Oh
it.
God.
I know, right? Every time.
I know. I am feeling good about my client that I'm coaching around business. I feel like we're seeing progress, which is good. So yeah, I'm enjoying that.
Awesome.
Um,
What
Other
else are
than
you
that, I'm
focusing on?
kind of not in the best place. Like I clearly go through slumps and ups and downs, but I feel like I've not really, this is my kind of default. Like I've not really done anything for a couple of
Mm-hmm.
weeks. Like since my last webinar, I've
Mm-hmm.
literally not done anything. Or I might have posted a few, like a couple that, you know what I mean, but not done any networking, no nurture, like nothing. And I'm like, I'm just getting so fed up with myself because I'm like, oh, do you know what it feels like? I was thinking about this today as I was coming on, and I was like, it's like, you know, if you were like on a diet and you
Mm-hmm.
know you shouldn't eat all the bad stuff. Like it's like I know I should sit down and watch Netflix, or I shouldn't scroll, or I shouldn't like
Mm-hmm.
waste my time intentionally, which is why I do it right now. I know that logically, but it
Yep.
doesn't stop me. It's like that mindlessness of it, if you know what I mean. So I'm like, and then I think as well, there's a bit of it as well as like when I did my other business, I remember there was like a need, like I was like, I'm not going back to work, like I need to make this work. Whereas
Yeah.
with this, there's like less of a need or a, you know, for me to have to do it. And I think that's having a negative impact
Yep.
on me. I know it's all just the way I'm thinking about it, but I don't.
Well,
So
I
yeah,
would say that like I think that the reason why you're being presented with this is you are supposed to teach other people how to have internal motivation for themselves. So like
yeah.
before you were externally motivated, now this is
Hmm.
just an opportunity to learn how to really figure out internal motivation. And I think it's because you're going to experience all these clients that are experiencing the exact same thing. They're like, I know
Yeah.
what to do and I'm not doing it. So when you brought this to me a couple of times, I would like to
Yeah.
choose a different angle for us to like hit it with. You know, it's like I feel like one of the things we can make plans. Literally like very similar to like what I was talking with oh my God, my brain Maria about is that one of the things that I've seen is that if the A line isn't if plowing through the A line isn't necessarily like creating the shifts that we want, maybe we need to look not only just like to current thoughts and feelings, but to like maybe even deeper thoughts and feelings. I think there's a
Okay.
reason why it's like there's probably a deeper reason. And we don't have to go there if we don't want to, but I think that there's probably a version of you that doesn't want to do this work in some not do the work of the business, but it's like in those like moments of slumps there's probably a
Hmm.
version of you that's trying to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And it's keeping you in this inaction. And I'm just let's get curious and find out like what is that version of you? Like, can you remember the last time when you felt like this kind of like slump? It could be today, it could be yesterday.
I think it's just always there. Like it's like only if I'm like I don't know, like intention. I don't know that sounds silly because I could just essentially sit down every day and coach myself in that, but it's like I don't get to that point a lot of the time. Do you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep. So you go to sit down and you do in the morning, I remember you work out and then you do your work for your other business, right?
Yes.
And then
Hmm.
you go and eat lunch and then there's an opportunity that is in the afternoon and
Hmm.
then your kids come home. And
Hmm.
with that opportunity, there's been like just a slump of motivation within that time. And so it's like, I want you to like take yourself back to the last lunch you were having. You know,
Hmm.
you've got stuff that you could do for the business, for the coaching business. What happens there?
Well, let's just use today. I tend to eat a lot. Like
Yeah.
just snacking and eating um and then I'll just scroll. And even while I'm scrolling, I'm like, I know I shouldn't be scrolling. I'm like, oh, there's another 20 minutes gone. And then I'm like, oh, look, there's more time. It's just like I know. That's what I mean. I feel like it's with the weight loss thing. Like, not that I really have that, but like, when you know you shouldn't,
Yes.
but while consciously you're doing it. And I'm like, it's so annoying.
It's so annoying, right? But your brain is doing this for a really good reason. And when we have like that like weird conscious overconsumption that we like are like, there it means there's like a void there. There's something that like you're trying to, and if you think about like going back to like the way that your body, it's like there's a void or an emotion that's there that you don't want to feel, probably. So it's
Okay.
easier to buffer than feel the feel and do things. So I think that's what you're
Yeah.
experiencing is just like in like buffering. It's
Yeah.
that feeling that you're like, ooh, okay, there's this emotion and I don't, it's like maybe it's dread, maybe it's frustration. Like it could be a number of things, but I want you to think about like what is the emotion that comes up right before the over consuming period.
Um, it's just like resistance. It's like, oh, I don't want to do
Yeah,
that.
oh, I don't want, is it like, is there a thought with the, oh, like, I don't want to do this, let's not.
I don't know. I think it's just more like I'm like, oh, no, I don't know.
Let's just get curious. Like, it doesn't need to be like, it might shift, but like, just like think about like, okay, it's like I'm sitting down and I feel this, oh, and I'm like, nope, we're gonna do the buffering.
So what was the question? Sorry, what am I looking
Is there a
for?
thought linked to the feeling? Like, is there like something that's like, why do you feel the Maybe is a better question.
Because it's like uncomfortable. Because I'm gonna have to use my brain. I'm gonna have to think of things. I'm gonna have to like it's just like feels hard or heavy.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just like I don't want to.
Yeah.
Seems
It's like,
ridiculous.
well, no. Why? Let's just like instead of like shitting on your subconscious, let's just be like, okay, I'm subconscious. You don't want to. Why? Like, why don't you want to do these things? Like, let's just get super compassionate and curious. Like, there's a reason, probably a good one.
Um, why don't I want to do it? Well, I think it's linked to like the same thing I think we spoke about before. Like if I really do it and then it doesn't work, then it means something worse versus the whole I can just be like, I've not really tried, which is what I've done for a long time.
Of
I've
course.
kind of just kept safe in this. Well, I've not actually really tried. Like that's kind of where I'm at.
Oh my God, literally like that was my like whole school. Like all of my academic career in my whole life was like, well, it's like I know I got like a B, but I don't want to like try. So it like doesn't really matter. It was like or
Yeah,
a
that's kind
C
of
and
what
it would
it's
be
like.
like, yeah, I was like, well, it wasn't really like my best effort. And I want to know if you feel comfortable sharing, like you said you would make it mean something worse. Do you think that maybe what that would you would make it mean about yourself?
Do I think what?
What would it mean?
Probably just that I'm not as good as I think I am. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like because on one side, I totally believe um, that I'm amazing. I'm a great coach. I know I can help people, like all the good stuff. And I do, and like I do believe that as well.
Mm.
But then I'm like, but maybe I'm not as good as like if I can't do it, like if I try it doesn't work, then I'm like, well, maybe that's not, maybe I'm not. And nobody
And
wants to face that harsh reality.
right? Okay, but I think that the reason why you're over consuming is because if you haven't actually like gone there. And if you're open to it, I want to like just take you there to like the worst case scenario because I think you're buffering instead of going there,
Yeah.
you know? And this is not like at all. I just want everybody to know that this is not true. You are incredible. You're an amazing business coach. You obviously have done awesome things, but I'm going here for your subconscious because it's clearly like freaking out. If I'm not as good as I think I am, then how would you, first off, how would you know?
Well, I think I would know if I really did try and I didn't get the result I wanted, then I'd be like, well, that's how I would know. Like if I
Okay,
really tried and I
okay,
didn't get the
so
result.
and you see how it's like good, trying, result. They're kind of vague. And your brain is
Yeah.
keeping you intentionally vague because what's happening is even though this feels like shit and it's the worst, like I know the feeling you mean where you're like, I know I could be doing this and I'm totally not doing this and it's fine. It's not fine. Like, it's like you don't feel fine
Mhm.
about it. What's happening is this is where your your motivational triad, we just need to like figure out like what's going on here. Like just don't let you say. I was like, I just changed it for my other client. So it's like, of course, your brain is going to go conserve energy, seek pleasure, avoid pain if we haven't gone
Yeah.
there, you know? So if you're thinking like, what would be as good as you think you are? Let's define that. What would be as good as you think you are? Like the kind of person who puts in effort and gets result, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I can fully book out my practice and like just get the results that I want, like have a fully booked coaching business.
Alicia, you're writing on my screen and I see you. I was like, what is happening? I was like, sorry. I was
I'm
like,
sorry, that happens to me all the time, and
I know. I don't know how it
it
happens.
happens.
Anyways,
Sorry about that.
no, you're good. I was like, my brain. Anyways, so within this, it's like, I'm not as good as I think I am. I get the results I want, right? How would you know? What are the results that you want?
Oh, a fully booked coaching practice.
Which is what?
Like say 10 clients.
Okay. And to get these 10 clients, what would really trying look like for you?
Well, it would be having a plan of the actions I need to do and actually like, planning it and executing it, like doing all the things that I know I need to do, but I'm not doing at all.
And let's just write this
Like
down. Like
and like
posting.
doing things like in the evening, I say, oh, I've got these, I mean, I've got so many hours that I could be.
And what would
But
be
in the
those
evening, I
things?
just scroll and then I sabotage because then I scroll and I'll choose to watch programs to stay up super late. So in the morning, I am too tired. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just a catalogue of like errors that's happening, and I'm like,
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but
for
like let's
sure.
think about like with the actions. Like what are the actions you need to do?
Well, I need to be following a content structure so that my content is done. Like I hate when I'm like having to figure out on the day, like what am I going to put? Like I like to have a plan and get it all planned out and so that that's not that it's like a checkbox done, but like so that I'm consistently putting out content. Like I like to do that. And then I want to use the rest of my time to be engaging with people, like talking to people, whether it's in groups or whether it's on Instagram. Like I know these are the things that are going to help. Then
Yeah.
I've got another webinar that I'm planning that I meant to do one a month, but now I'm like it's gaining on me, and I'm like I'm not gonna have enough time to like have enough time to promote it, to squeeze it in. So then last night I'm like, do I just squeeze it in and then have a half-arsed attempt at trying to fill it, or do I just postpone it and give myself more time? So I'm undecided about that. So yeah, so my main things would be doing a webinar so that there's like all my nurturing and things go to the webinar, which is where I will sell um,
So
constantly or consistently speaking to the people and nurturing and then having a constant flow of content going out. So it's not that much, but it's like,
it really so it's like but you don't want to like let's say that you do all those things,
yeah.
right? You really try. You follow the content structure, you engage with people, 10 people a day, you do a webinar a month and you don't get 10 clients. What happens then?
Well, I don't know if I would be upset if I didn't get them like straight away. I think I would just be more happy that at least, you know what I mean? Like I would be more accepting that something's happening. You know what I mean? Like if I knew if I was like,
I don't
because like
know.
when, what, sorry?
I don't know because I think that you like I don't know if this heavy feeling would be here if you felt like you would do it and it wouldn't feel bad.
Say that again, sorry.
Yeah, you're good. I don't think that feeling of heaviness would be there if you thought genuinely that you did subconsciously, maybe not genuinely, but subconsciously. I don't think your subconscious feels safe to try all this stuff if you don't get 10 people, 10 clients, maybe not straight away, but after like a month or two.
Yeah, if I was doing it for a while and I was getting 10 clients, then for sure I'd be like, well, this isn't
What's a while?
working.
What's a while for you? Like, let you try for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year.
Yeah, I mean, if I was doing it, if this is the thing, if I was doing the things
If you do,
consistently for 6 months and then I wasn't getting the result, then I'd be like, right, there's something wrong in what I'm doing.
uh-huh.
But I think my issue is that I'm not. So I can't see whether or not it's working because I'm like, I'm not
Exactly.
actually.
And of course, if this is
Okay.
how you're trying to build your business, if this is like you're building a business to teach other people to build a business, you've
Yeah.
created like if there's so much pressure on this, that's what the heaviness is coming from, is that
Mhm.
like if I can't do it, I can't teach other people how to do it. And then that really means that this business isn't going to work. And that's what your brain is trying to protect you from. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Like how it's like,
Because like everything I'm coaching my clients on, I'm not doing right now. Like I do it sometimes, obviously, but like right now at this moment in time, I'm like coaching them on all the things, and I'm like, why am I doing any of that?
right. And so your brain is like, oh, it's got a lot of thoughts here, right? And
Yeah.
so what I want to do is your brain is like, I don't feel safe to take the action because then the things I was doing right now are like my client, like I don't know if even my client, like there's something wrong in what I'm doing. I think this is what you're afraid of. So you're like not
Yeah.
even trying so that you can avoid this feeling, like that fear that like maybe I'm not teaching the right things, maybe I'm not doing the right things. Like there's something here that feels
Yeah.
heavy. And that's why you're
Yeah.
putting so much pressure on yourself. That's why it feels heavy. In my That's what I'm thinking. Does that
Yeah.
feel like that resonates?
Yeah. There's a whole part of that for sure. Like I'm not even doing it.
Right. And so what your brain needs to see is that like if there, let's say there is something wrong in what you're doing. Let's say you try it for 6 months and you don't get 10 clients. I don't think that's going to happen, by the way.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
let's just go there because your brain's putting a lot of
Hmm.
pressure on yourself. If you, we have to, if for this business to grow into the passion project, like this is like something you feel like is your deep purpose. We've talked about this deeply, right?
Yeah.
If there is something wrong in these actions, we have to figure that out sooner than June or
Yeah.
July. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, so it's like not necessarily like this is where we need to go to like, okay, it's like if I take these next 6 months, these next 6 days, and I don't figure out something that works, I really, really want to do this. Now I need to, but I want to do this for my people. I feel like they
Yeah.
could really, really use this in their life right now. They need to see me doing like it's like this is where we need to go on the other side of things where your brain is like it would be really painful and it's like but it would be but then I would figure out something. I'm sure in those 6 months we wouldn't just try the same plan without a
No.
solution,
No.
right? We would tweak it. We would get better every time. And I like it feels uncomfortable and it's funky, but if we do this and it doesn't work, let's say within 3 months, let's tell your brain, hey, like, let's try this for 3 months. And if it's not working, then maybe I do need to come up with a new solution. And this is going to give me the time and space to think of something new. I'm getting this gift of the things in the evening and the time in the day to figure this out because more people need life coaches. More
Yeah.
people need coaching. And I'm going to do everything I can to figure it out for them to get this mission out into the world.
Yeah.
And if you think about
Yeah.
it, the pressure I think is coming from making it mean something about you versus like I got to figure this out. This is just like a tool I want to figure out for my people. Then
Yeah.
it can shift it for you. Did something shift as I was talking? Is that feeling like because of course if
Yeah.
you
It does feel better to think about like, because I'm not consciously thinking it's because of me. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I'm thinking if I look at it more that it's like I'm just going first to test it.
yes
But then I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's so annoying because like I do go through this and I'm like, yeah, it's just a test, it's a game, da, 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 da. But I keep slumping back. So how can I stop myself from like slumping back into that way?
Okay, so we know the slump is going to happen every time. We're going to
Yeah,
expect that it's going to come at 12 o'clock every day. You're going to
yeah.
feel the slump. Okay. This is where we want to plan intentionally ahead of time.
Hmm.
So, what can we do? Like, I want you to think about like when you feel the slump, what kind of things are you thinking that we need to shift? It's like, this is the, I don't want to do this right now.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm thinking that. I'm just like, it's like that funny feeling. I'm like eating my lunch and I'm like, yep, I'm giving myself till 1 o'clock. And then I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking about. And I'm like, oh, look, it's went 2 minutes past. I might as well finish this video. And then you're like 4 hours later, like,
Right. Okay.
well, maybe not like that extreme, but like, yeah, I think I just need a pattern interrupt. That's what I
Yes,
think I'm gonna do. Like,
exactly.
I need
Okay.
a pattern interrupt so that like that reminds me. I don't know if you've done that work before, but like I remember I did it with Tony Robbins stuff. You
Mm,
need something to interrupt your pattern that snaps you back into another way of thinking.
okay. What, like, can we, after, before lunch, could you like turn off your phone?
Yeah, I
Maybe we do a
think
phone free
so.
lunch.
I think better actually. What I might do is actually just start putting an alarm on my phone because I'll have my phone in my hand. I can guarantee you that. So like an alarm on my phone that flashes up with the thought that I need to be thinking, or like whatever
Okay.
it is to help me. Put your phone off or put it away, and then
What are you on your
like
phone for the other
this
business?
is for the people. What? Sorry.
Are you on your phone for the other business? Or could you do it from a
N-
computer?
No, it's not a computer, so it's totally different.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
let's,
the phone.
oh, it's all on your phone for the other business?
Pardon?
It's all on your phone for the other business?
No, it's not.
Okay, so why do you have your phone at all?
Because I just come home and scroll. It's just like
So
what
let's
people do,
just put the
right?
phone away. Let's put the phone in a different, like this, we could try it, but I want you to like, if you don't have the phone there, like the phone is created to be addictive, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
of
it
course. Yeah.
flashes. It is like literally like psychologically designed to suck you in,
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
social media. So it's like, instead of like, because essentially it's like what I'm hearing you say is like, I'm going to try and like change an urge that is like a very strong pattern urge that is like you get a ton of dopamine from, and you're going to try
Yeah.
and fight it with willpower.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So when we want to do urged, like, willpowers will never be urges.
No.
We just have to plan intentionally ahead of time. Like, it's almost like so it's like we just have to make a plan for what's going to happen, and I want you to think about like what you want to, like, instead of thinking, of course I've got my phone on, of course I want to scroll during lunch. What if we use it as your reward after you get stuff done? What are you thinking when you pick up your phone after you've done the stuff for the other business that's completely unphone related?
Well, I'm just thinking it as like this is my lunchtime. I'm just scrolling and and sometimes it's consuming good things. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's like good. Um, what else am I gonna come to?
Alyssa or Alicia asked, what is the uncomfortable feeling you feel when you do the work that you're trying to avoid? So it's like that's your unintentional model. Like you said, resistance, I think before, like just
Yeah, well, I'm sitting at lunch, I'm like feeling resistance, and then the feeling that I will feel when I'm doing it, when I put my phone away, it's not even that bad. It's just like I've got to use my brain to like write something. Do you know what I mean? It's just
mm-hmm.
like, it's not like this terrible thing when I'm in it. See, when I'm actually phones away and I'm like, yes, effort. So that's why I'm like, I'm just being really lazy because it's not that bad.
No, it's
It's
not
just
lazy. It's
put
human
my phone
nature.
away so that I could like and once I get into a flow, I feel good. Like if I'm writing an email sequence or something, I'm like, this is good. And then if I'm distracted, then I can ruin everything. So I really just need to. I think I'm just going to set my alarm for my phone at 1, and if it's like standing on the pool deck and not jumping in, it's effort and inertia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so what we want to do here is we know you're going to feel resistance. You're going to have
Yeah.
thoughts. This is my lunchtime. I just want to relax. I want to use my brain. I don't want to use my brain. I've got to use my brain. Ugh. Your brain is absolutely gonna think that. I mean, it
Yeah.
would be buffer. That is the A line in
Mhm.
many different facets. What do you want to think instead?
What do I want to think instead is like, this is like what I want to do. I don't want to do the other business. Like, I don't want to, like, this is what I want my main thing to be. So I'm like, and I'm never going to get there unless I do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, this actually is
Did
what I
you
want to do in my life. So put the phone away.
okay, so what you're gonna feel resistance. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen for sure. What do you want to feel instead? Maybe is it determination?
Yeah.
Is it like not courageous because it's not really fear, but it's like you're gonna have to feel something uncomfortable on purpose.
Yeah. It's being determined, isn't it? It's like to just do it, to follow my plan.
So I want you to make the alarm now. Okay. I want you to make the alarm for tomorrow and for every single day. I want you to do what else do you need to do? Give me 4 more things that you're going to need to do on purpose. And what we're going to do is we're going to check back in next week. So you better come to the call. Don't like avoid the call because you didn't do it. Like I promise I
Go
won't
like,
hear.
oh.
But then we just need to like instead of like it meaning something about you, that it's like, okay, we just need to switch the plan. We just need
Yeah.
to do a different theory, right? So we've got the alarm. I would love to challenge you
Okay.
because you like a challenge, right? I was like, I
Yeah,
feel like I
yeah.
remember that being. I want you to do a webinar on Monday.
On Monday, but I've just got, but I'll have nobody
I
on
know.
it.
I saw your face. I was like, yeah, I do. Because I want you to become the kind of, I want, this is just my opinion. You have so much in your brain that is so fucking useful for people. I know that you made a plan to do a webinar a month, and I want to help you uphold that.
Yeah.
Even if it isn't the best work you've ever done, even if you don't have time to tell every single person about it, I avoided it. And I think I told you guys this last week, but like I literally like did these webinars and I felt like I don't even think I recorded the Overcome Burnout one because I was so, yeah, I didn't even do this. But I made it, I got it, and then I pitched it later to NC State. The act of creating something. And I think I think that another thing to get into this determined state, I think you need a push.
Yeah, I like having a deadline because then I have to
I
do it.
know
That
you
does
do.
help me.
I'm like, I know you now. I'm like, I know your brain. So I'm going to give you a deadline. We're going to do a
Okay,
webinar on
what
Monday.
about Wednesday though? Because I'm just worried about actually having enough time to promote it and like
All right.
get
We'll
people
do it
to
Wednesday
come.
and I can coach you on Tuesday. Okay.
Okay.
But I want you to get this webinar and I want you to do it in February.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're going to
Hmm.
do it on Wednesday. And
Okay.
I think this is going to be the thing that will push you to get it done. And even if
Yeah.
nobody sees it, even if nobody comes, you're learning how to create intellectual property that is going to
Yeah.
serve you for the rest of your business forever.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want the topic
Okay.
to be?
Well, my thought was I was going to do because I've got it going on in the background. I'm just very lethargic about it all, being like, yeah, I'm going to do it at some point.
That's why
But
you
it's
have
like
me in your life.
3 challenges you have to overcome type
Boom.
thing. I've not got the exact name, but like, something like that.
Done. You're doing this webinar on the 28th
Okay.
of February. At what
Okay.
time?
Like 8 p.m. Scotland, which is like, I don't know what time yours, so.
All good. It'll get a replay. Okay. I want you to do this. Okay. I want you to
Hmm.
reach out to 10 people a day between now and then.
Hmm.
I know this doesn't feel good. I'm sorry. I just love you way
Pardon?
too much. I was like, I know this doesn't feel good. I'm sorry. I love you. I just know that you're
No.
too brilliant to keep this inside. And I'm like, we just have to get it out. We just have to get it out,
Okay.
gag and go. We're going to do a webinar a
Yep.
month. We're going to set that alarm. And I want you to be like, we've got a fucking webinar to plan. Like,
Yeah.
brain, we got to go. And last time you got a client from said webinar. So we
Yeah.
think that it probably works. So it's
Yeah.
like, let's do something that has had evidence that it works. I want you to engage with people and I want you to make a content structure. And now the content structure is about challenges. Now, let's think about pillar. For you, what pillar is this going to relate to? Because then I think that could be helpful.
Well, in the webinar.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what color it's going to be because I was thinking of doing it more like,
Maybe do it on your direction because they're not making decisions. So they have to overcome the challenge of decisions
yeah.
or time management.
I'd written out, I can't remember what I'd written out. Hold on. What had I done?
So they have to overcome the challenge of indecision, maybe.
I can't remember.
And you asked me, you're like, like we started this call. You were like, it's like I need to figure out this internal motivation. I think it's gonna help you with a smidge of external motivation.
Yeah, because this is going to be more external. So do I just need to
It
create
is.
more external motivation?
I think it's a little bit both. And then we're
Because
gonna
see, when I
learn
started my
what
first
you're.
business, I just like booked the haul and was like, well, I need to make it up. What I'm gonna do? Do you
Oh
know
my
what I mean?
God.
That's what made me like actually start the first business too.
And I also don't think there's anything wrong with external motivation. People shit on it, and I literally hired my coach to help me externally motivate myself. I'm literally like, I work with Jackie Murphy so that she can be like, you didn't do the shit you said you would do. And I'm like, every Wednesday at 10
Yeah,
p.m.,
I like that.
10 a.m.,
I
I
feel
need to
like,
like
yeah.
get my shit done. And every Tuesday night, I set it aside so I can get all the stuff that I put off during the week for her.
Yeah, no,
I'm
that
like,
is
I just
that's
know
like
that
what I
about
mean.
myself and it's not a problem. And so I
Yeah.
just want like let's think about what are like I think that this could be about direction.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that it's like challenges you have to overcome. What are the three challenges?
Well, I think when I was this is going to be totally hypocritical, but like what was it? Oh, it was something like um well, so I think one of them was creating one of the challenges, or it's more like what the mistakes that people are making. So it's like thinking that creating content is like the only thing we need to do to get clients. Like I know so many people just create content and then just wait, right? Whereas we need to be speaking to people and so on. The other one
Oh, the create
was,
and wait. Oh my God, I love that.
yeah. And then where's the other one? Yeah, spending times on things that don't matter. So like sales pages, websites, making things look perfect, like just focusing on the wrong things. And then what was the other one? Yeah, again, like just the consumption trap, like which is obviously what I get sucked into. But I mean more of like learning rather than just my issue right now of scrolling mindlessly. It's more like consuming more to try it
Education.
before they take any action.
Yeah. So it's like this is create and wait, focusing on the wrong things, consumption over creation.
Yeah,
Fucking brilliant. The people of the world need to hear this. You've got 2,000 followers on the Instagram. I
yeah,
want you to give this as an opportunity for them that we like love them and we just want to get them out of the slump. And you said
yeah,
something about being hypocritical. I want you to do this for a week. This whole week, I want you to instead of creating and waiting, create and go. Or it's like focusing on the right things, can focus on creation over consumption. And I want you to be like, I really noticed that this was something that I was doing at a different level than you this whole month. I recognized that this
mhm,
was a problem I was having, and I got out of it in a moment. It only took me a quick thing, and I was able to shift it. And now I created an entire webinar because I was able to do
yeah.
this that you are now attending. I want you to have this too. But do you see how like
Okay.
empowered that is? It's like boom. It's like I did this, you can too. Let's fucking go.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yes.
How
Okay.
do
I'm
you
gonna do
feel?
it.
Let's fucking go. I love you. I'm sorry
Okay.
for
Thank you so
forcing you to do a
much.
webinar. Of course. I was like, I can't wait to come. I was like, and watch the replay.
Okay.
It'd be great.
Thank you.
Of course. I was like, I think Harmony, did you have something? I was like, I'm pretty sure you were next, right?
Um, I mean, I'm just very happy about my wins this week. So I was for the first time like, let me share my wins first.
Yeah, open your wins.
And then I had a question more about the email sequences also, which I know we talked about, but I don't know why if it's me, like I'm getting stuck for nothing. But I'm not really stuck because I figured out a system, but which not one we talked about. Yeah, that's it. Otherwise, I'm all pumped.
Wait, tell me what, give me a win and tell me where you're stuck.
Oh, so many wins. I had another consultation and I signed up a client. I'm waiting for payment, but I'm pretty confident. I finished my Google Classroom. I have my whole program. It's looking slick and amazing. It took me 6 full hours of intense work on Saturday. I've been postponing that for about a good 3 months. Now it's done. I am launching the webinar this afternoon. Everything is ready. There's a few other things, but I'm gonna get finally testimonies coming.
Yes.
I have a former client who's like, I want to work with you again. I need coaching. Yeah, so it just I feel like I'm gaining momentum at least this week, so it feels pretty good.
I'm so good. Oh, I'm so
And
glad.
even I met someone from my building yesterday. We went to the gym class together, and she participated in a workshop I did just before we started the mastermind,
Yes, I remember
like the
this.
day before. And she's like, "Oh, I forgot. You asked me for a testimony, and I just forgot. I really want to do it because she's an interior designer, and she knows like how she's also when she asks testimonies." And I'm like, "Oh well, yes, that's true. Well, if you still remember like the workshop, it's like, how could I forget that? It was something I will always remember. It was so impactful." I'm like, "Oh, great." So that's really was really nice to hear. All of those,
So
it was
proud of
very
you.
positive this last week.
I
But the
love
email
this.
sequence, I'm just very stuck about. I don't know if it's me creating the drama or if it's a real issue with my website provider, Kajabi, which I'm glad
Oh,
I'm going to
Kajabi.
switch very soon. Yeah, Kajabi. Sorry,
Yep.
it's my accent.
Oh, no. I was like,
But because last week we agreed that we only want the URL from the event because everybody on the list would be under like my email sequence.
yes,
But the
everyone.
second after, like, hey, this is the thing, register, and then they're getting just the event registration from register. Then it's the regular email sequence. But then it's like the link is there. So people haven't registered, but they're going to receive the link. And we don't want that.
Okay.
You know, and
So you said
so it's
they
not
don't.
really, it's like, well, no,
Okay.
because the way you told me, because I don't know if it's my website provider, to have when people register to the event, just to have one email, you're in, and then here's the link. But then to have everybody receive all the emails. But in the email sequences that we worked on, or that I have from the first webinar based on your templates, the second email is already with the link, but they wouldn't have registered. For the people who wouldn't have registered, they would receive the link. So I'm like, is it my website provider or I'm making a lot
No.
of drama about that? Because I'm using the system I used last time, the event, the 4 things, and then I'm going to create an email sequence in addition, but they won't give the link. It's just going to be a pep talk about, hey, are you invited? Are you joining? To remind them.
Okay.
But probably the people who registered are going to receive that too, because I don't know how to do the 2 things with my provider.
Nope. I
It's more
wouldn't.
a
I would
technical
say.
question.
So I still include the links and I say respond register to come. When they
Yeah,
get
that's the
the
second one.
register
Okay.
to
Okay.
your regular people,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
still get the links, but I don't send the replay to everybody.
Okay, so even if people haven't registered, they receive the second email, and in this email you give the link.
Yep.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna send the links to everybody. Like, so I'm doing a webinar on Tuesday and I'm gonna send the replay to everybody, or I'm only gonna send the replay to the people who respond offer. So that's the only thing that I'm doing.
Wait,
And
can you say that? Can you say that again?
yep,
I
of
got a little
course.
confused
Of course,
with
of course.
who's
So
getting.
if you look at the webinar email sequence, there are 3 emails I send beforehand, 1 email I send, oh no, during. I'm going to give you the material. So I send 3 emails before, 1 during, and then I would say 2 after.
Oh,
I
that's
am,
new. It used to be 4 only. So you added a couple.
yes. I
You're
think that I
saying that
added it for you
you're
guys.
sending the email to people who didn't register. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I send
With the
these
link.
emails to everybody with the link and even the during email. Then I send the replay to only the people who came. So that's a really good clarifying question. I definitely wasn't clear about that. So I only send the replay to the people who came. Everyone gets the before emails, And then I would recommend a fifth and sixth email that you could also make into a post as well for the week of.
So
So like
how do you know if they came to the webinar or not, and but they didn't register? You
they
don't
don't.
care.
So what I did is, I don't know if they even, I was like, let's see if somebody, 3 people have registered already. Cool. So I have 3
Sorry,
people.
Megan, do you mean you send the replay to everyone who registered, not just came?
I send
Yeah,
the replay
that's
to
what she's saying.
everyone who registered, not, and if people are like, I
And people
came
who
and I
Yeah, and
didn't
people that
know.
came.
But
Yeah,
how do you know if they came, but they didn't register?
I I I won't. And if they send me an email back and be like, "Hey, can I get the replay?" That'd be great. And that's what's been happening. So that I know that they're on the hotter side of my nurture list. Does that make sense? So it's like only the people who get this email get the replay. Then I take a screenshot of everyone who's on it and I just know who they are. But sometimes like people will come and they didn't register. I remember the last webinar I did, I was like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting to see you here." Like it was like one of my old clients. And I was like, "Oh, great. I'm so glad you're here." She did not register. So I didn't send her the replay. And she reached out and she was like, "Hey, could I get that replay?" And I was like, "Sure." And so then I'll just send her the replay email. But it's also at the bottom of the typical email. If someone searches for it, they can find it. This is the replay email. So this is what I send to everybody, and I can send this to you guys too. I was like, here's the call. Thank you for so much for what you do. Also, make sure you sign up. This is for me. Are there any? That was
So you're
such a good
saying that
question.
you send the link to join the webinar to your whole email list every time. Oh,
Yeah.
I was not doing that.
I was not doing that either.
I was
Oh my
just
God,
like
why?
sending. Yeah, it makes
Because
sense.
why do you have them register then?
Just so I know who to send the replay to. But I get everyone hype about it. I'm like,
Because
y'all,
then the
this
way that
webinar is
you
gonna be
word
the
it is
shit.
like register to make sure you get the replay and the materials.
Yes,
Yeah, because like
exactly.
when I'm doing my
Yes.
webinars, I'm realizing I'm like I only send
The you
I
send like
send the link like the 1 hour before the webinar when you send like here's the link to join, and here's like the document that like the
this one.
workbook that we're using that you should have with you. I send that to the people who registered, and I send the replay to the people who registered. But everything else gets sent to everybody because
Yep.
you're trying to get them to register. But you could just you could be like, hey, if you're around, join.
Yep.
Smart.
Just because I'm like, why would I not tell them? I'm assuming that everyone, I think it's just this difference that like I'm just like assuming they're probably in. I'm like, if they're on my email list, they definitely want to come to this. Like this is gonna be a really fucking good webinar. They definitely want to be here for this. So, oh shit. Oh no, I did that right. So I send everybody this one the week before. You guys are gonna get this week. And then I'm like, see you today at 8. I send everybody this one or sorry, that was the one the hour before. This is the week before one. And these are in here. So I'm gonna put the link to this. But it's like this is like for everyone, everybody gets this one. Everybody's gonna get, where is it? Everybody's gonna get the guarantee your goal, the other one I showed. And then everyone's gonna get this one 30 minutes in. And I put the replay here just in case you missed it. A lot of people, if they don't come live, they miss it. And so then I send another email. Thanks for coming. Thanks for registering. Watch the webinar here. This one I did not include for you guys. So I'm going to change that and include that in the whole module. That was such a good catch. Does that make sense for everybody? Total. This has been a shift that I've made in the past couple of months. So that's probably why it wasn't in here. I think I told my
it's
new.
the second time I'm doing it, and I'm figured out, but it's a little bit, but yeah. But I think it's my website provider. And then I would find a way that works for me.
Yeah. I would say that maybe your website provider doesn't let you send the replay. And then I would just let like only to the people who came. I'm pretty sure Kajabi does. However, what I would say, this is clear. I'm like making this better.
No. I did it last time. It's
I was
just
like,
I have two things. I have events and email sequences. They don't work the same. Email sequences, the layout is very bad. It's just text. No,
yep.
event is very simple, just text. Email sequences, it's fancy. I can do fancy things, but it's less precise on when you send it. But I'm gonna figure it out. I'll see.
I think that like the only so for instance, for the Guarantee Your Goal webinar, I didn't send this. That's why this is here, because I forgot to send it and it wasn't a big deal. And if people asked me for it, I sent them the link and it was no big deal.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, am I making this harder than what it
I
is?
think maybe. I think it like, but like, I think that the email provider, that might be something funky. And I wouldn't worry about that for your webinar. Your webinar's on Monday, right?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Hey.
No, so I'm on time. I'm gonna do it. Everything is ready. I have the email sequence and the event
Yeah.
in case, and I'm just gonna choose and do it.
Yeah. I was like, I think that it's gonna be I think that what I'm hearing the issue is that the email provider, it won't let you do this thing, or you don't, there might be a way that you to tag people in a segment. I'm pretty sure they do that, and that's what I think you're asking about.
Okay,
So
I
like
don't even know what you're talking about for next time.
for next time, that just heads up.
Tag
That might be a
someone
thing.
in a segment. Okay,
Yes.
I'll figure this out after. Okay, well, that was more a question.
Well, I think that worked. I was like, I think that was like actually very great. And I think that helped everybody to be like, everyone gets the before and afters. I'm like, yeah, and you might want to switch like the after emails, but like I keep the same before emails for every time. You guys have probably seen them like a whole bunch. It's like the same emails. I change the color sometimes. Like, here we go. A little different. But really, really good question. I think that clarified a lot for a lot of people. So yeah, that was awesome. I still have time. I
What I
was
did
like,
last time for my webinar, I don't know if it's a good strategy, but I think it worked, is that everybody that engaged in the chat when I was asking them, for instance, so how do you feel when you're thinking about your future? And then I used what they said to email them back after the follow-up email, like a more personal one. And I was using that to like, and I really liked, I felt good doing that. I don't know if it was a good thing, but I got a consultation, so I guess kind
hell
of
yeah.
worked.
And I literally like, I'll be like, what kind of business do you have? What are your goals? And I'm like, I know that your goal is to reach 100K this year. Do you have a plan? That is so good. I love that. So everybody do that. Who would like some coaching next? I was like, that was quick. Alicia.
Um, I just got a update, share my wins and update, I guess.
Yes, yes.
So I shoot, I did it on my form. I don't remember what it said, but I think I had 5 consults last week. I've got 1 today.
Woo.
So awesome. I signed 1 new knee pain client at the
Look
end of
at you.
and another one who I did a follow-up with yesterday, and she wants to start in March.
Amazing.
And she gave me all all these reasons, and she's like, I know you're probably going to say it's better to start now. And I just said, no, I'm totally on board. I think this is a great plan for you. And I want you to feel good about what you're doing. I totally agree with this plan. Let's do it. And I did. I mean, that was my honest, there was no like, she's not good. Like, no, it all was perfectly reasonable. And, I felt good about that. So I don't have any worries that she's not going to, follow through and do it. We talked about a date and she's like, okay, just message me the week before. And, so, she does, she doesn't,
Badass.
it's fine, but I felt good about it. She felt good about it.
That's the most important thing for
Yeah.
sure. What can I coach you on?
Oh, just an update. I am still going to do the webinar next week, but I did change the topic, even though we went through all that last week. I was away all weekend. I'm going to be away all weekend this coming weekend. And I was like, okay, this is just
Starting
feeling,
something new, it's
yeah, this
tricky.
is feeling hard. So what can I do to feel easy besides cancel or reschedule? Like I really wanted to stick with my schedule. So I went through all of my old webinars and I found one. Um, and so I chat GPT to help me come up with a title, and it's the bomb. And I think it's going to be good. It's the title is doot, 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 doot. Ageless Adventures, A Guide to Thriving as a Mature Hiker.
Oh my
And,
gosh, I love it.
and I'm lining that up with my fitness pillar this week as I write about fitness as you age, and then
Hmm.
so I just, it just feels good to have some intentionality behind
Hmm.
everything. It feels really good to not indulge in the freak out and the panic, but just get into problem solve mode. Like, you know, I could torque myself out about all of this, or I could just figure out like, how can I make this easy? How can I make it benefit me and benefit my clients? And what I realized when I was doing my form, it's like, I don't feel overwhelmed in my business at all. I was gone all weekend. I was exhausted. I was on a youth teen retreat, up till midnight, up at 6, going all day with a bunch of teenagers, and just took it easy yesterday and did not come back. I just realized this morning, like, no, I feel totally in control. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm I'm not feeling stressed or overwhelmed. I gave myself Sunday night and Monday to scroll and do all of the just veg
Chill.
activities. Like
Yeah.
like I'm just giving myself permission. I know what this is. This is me. This is my brain just trying to seek rest after a very highly emotionally charged weekend. And and I'm gonna let it. Like I'm gonna let it just wander and rest. I baked a bunch of stuff Sunday night just because like I needed some mindless act. I needed to do something, but I just couldn't. I couldn't sit down to work or what. Like it was okay.
Well,
It
and
was okay.
I was talking with Olivia Vizzacro. She's another
Yeah.
coach in 2K, and we were talking about how like we put so much pressure on ourselves to make the slides and make this stuff. And again, for your first webinar, I totally recommend and I stand by it that take a little bit of time. There are some technical difficulties that you'll probably have to overcome, as you guys have all experienced for your first webinar. However, I have not made my slides for my webinar on Tuesday, and I don't plan on doing it until tomorrow. I've got time set aside. I'm ready for it. It's going to be great. And the only reason I'm making it tomorrow, not the day before, is because have family in town this week. So I'm like, I think that you guys get to be now, you all have done, every single one of you has done a webinar. You've all done it. You know the tech, you know the stuff, you've got the emails written. Don't freak out. If you want to do a webinar in 6 days, you can do that shit now. It's like we can totally just like I'm the this love your webinar, the love your offer. See, I don't even know what it is. This is from the last one. And I'm like literally like taking the same thing, reposting it. I took the same words and I'm reposting it. It's from the last webinar. Instead of goals, it's the word offer. So I really do think that this is going to be like, I think you guys are in the stage where you can do that now. Take your time. Doesn't need to be planned out. And Olivia was like, I do it like the hour before. She's like, the morning of, I'm making the flip chart. It's
I
like,
was totally
let's
thinking
fucking go.
about
I
her,
can't do that.
actually. I was like, she is
Right?
such a pro now. Like she's done it for once a month for so long
So
that
long.
like it's not a big deal for her. She knows exactly what she's doing. So, that's part of regulating the nervous system. I don't know that was Maria, I guess,
Mhm.
is just familiarity. Is the more familiar you get with the process, the more you're going to be able to regulate your nervous system around it, for sure. And so yeah, now talk to me next week. I might be in a different state, but for right now, it's like
Gonna be
You know,
great.
I just feel like it, you know, and what gets done gets done. What I, you know, what I make my own, I make my own. And I'm just, yeah, I just have so much more. And I'm selling one-on-one on my emails, but I keep getting people who are like, no, you need this knee pain group. You need this knee pain group. You need this knee pain. So I'm just really
You can do that.
funneling, trying to funnel everybody into that. And I mean, I feel so much clearer about, you okay?
You guys hear that?
Like a
I think someone's like using a chop saw in the apartment next door, but I was like, it sounds like a weird like, and I was like, cool, cool. I think I figured it out. It's a chop saw. But I was just like, that's a weird noise. Sorry about that.
my armory. Um, anyway, I don't know what I was saying, but
Oh, but
yeah,
it's like you're
more,
gonna
much
figure
more
out the
clear
filter.
on who my one-on-one client is, you know, and I'm selling that as really kind of a luxury VIP experience because that's who I want. They need to come into this knowing this is a VIP situation, so they're gonna have to be paying, you know, close to $5,000 for it. Like that's,
Yes.
and they're gonna get my full attention
Hell yes.
around all these things. So anyway, these are just some
Just like
breakthroughs.
updates and breakthrough. I
Update.
love all of this. And I'm so proud of you. I know this has been like, just think about where you were last year at this time.
Oof,
Like how much has shifted.
just
I'm
want to throw up all the time. Yeah.
so glad we've shifted.
Yeah, for sure. And so much intentionality comes when I'm away from my computer. Like that's the other shift is that I used to
Mm.
just sit here at, you know, have my butt in the seat because that's what who used to call it the big desk energy or something like that. You know, and it's like, um, I can be cooking for my family or whatever, or working out, and I can come to my office and my computer with so much more intentionality and direction than just sitting here wondering what the hell am I going to do? And that might be some of
We
for
now
you
make
not
this a
yet too,
protocol.
you know, just like having some constructive thought time so that when you know what your work is going to be, and then it helps me be more excited to go do it. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to write that email and I already know what I'm going to say. I already know what direction I want to go this week. I already know what journey I want to take my client on. Like,
And that's
anyway.
literally your reticular activating system in work. Like your brain, your subconscious is working for you. If you give it some sort of direction, you're like, I know I'm going to do a webinar. You're thinking about that webinar when you're sleeping, when you're cooking, all the things. And I was telling my client this morning, I was like, I literally will like practice in the shower too. That's like the other thing about webinars and stuff. Like I've gotten good at wording things quickly because I'll like just say it all the time. I'm like, wait, hold on. Okay. So I'm like, okay, you need to, what is the difference between a six-figure offer? I can tell this. The second I look at your page, I know it's a six-figure offer and what's not a six-figure offer. Let's talk about the difference. And I'm like, I talk to myself and it looks crazy, but it works because then I get in the habit of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, thanks
So that
for
was so
all the
good.
previous coaching. Like it has just all been simmering and, um, you know, I feel like I'm going in a positive direction.
I'm so, so glad. I'm so honored to be a part of this positive direction for you. And I feel like this is really like, I feel like all of us are just like really stepping into like big desk energy. We're like
Yeah.
getting ready to rally. So I love
Um,
that. And I love
I
you.
know time's up, but I also wanted to just, are you going to talk to us about next steps? Because I'm planning out like quarter 2 and
Fuck yes.
what I'm investing in and what I'm not. So I kind of want to know
Well, here, I'll just give you an
what options
overview.
are.
I'm going to talk to all of you guys about this, probably not next week, but the week after, about
Okay.
renewals. This is a great question. I I, I think I've told you guys that the mastermind has shifted to 5K, but I know that you guys paid 3K. And so within this, I was thinking about programs that I had invested in multiple times. And I knew the basic information, but I just wanted that accountability still. I wanted that like support. I really liked the coaches I worked with like multiple times. I was like, I really like you. When I work with you, I get shit done. And I also felt like sometimes the investment was like, it was just a lot every time. And so I actually am going to change it. And the alumni are going to get an alumni round price, which is going to be 2,500. So it's not going to be 5K for you. It's going to be actually 5K, 500 less. If you guys do want to return, I would freaking love to have you. And I know that you might not need, at least for the first half of the program, the review. I'm really trying to figure out how to shift that in the future. Haven't figured it out yet. So this is my solution in the meantime. I was like, maybe you don't come to the first hour, but you would still get the second hour of coaching. And that can be open. It doesn't have to be on what I just taught on. And that is probably going to shift in the future. But that's what I'm offering you guys this round. So if that is something that you're thinking about, we'll be doing next week, I think is like the time when I'm going to give you all our last one-on-one call, our final round, which is like, oh, my heart. This has been so much fun. Like I've had like the best time. And I think that is going to be coming out. We're officially 5 months in. We're going to talk about renewal and book your call here. And essentially
Okay.
on that call, we'll be like, okay, what are your next steps? And that's going to be on March 4th. So very soon.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thanks for giving me the heads up on that one for sure.
Yes, of course. I know that like I like to plan my finances. I'm sure that you guys do too. So that is my offer.
Excellent. I need to sign another client.
Let's do it. Let's
Let's do
make
it.
it happen. It's going to happen on this webinar. I'm putting vibes.
There you go.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I love this. Thank you for asking.
Awesome.
I was like, I'm gonna announce it to everybody next week, and if I don't, like, whack me across the head. But I'll probably remember that one. That's a big one. Real quick, Demetria, how are you doing? If you have a minute, I can do some quick coaching, or we can just like roll and meet up next week.
Hi. I think I'm okay. I'm
Give us
just
a win.
a win.
I know putting you on the spot. So sorry.
um, I'm doing a series on self-care
Love.
podcast, so it gives me content to talk about during rodeo stuff. Um, yeah, I'm good for now. So I'll probably get coaching next week, but
Oh yeah.
I have a like mastermind that I kind of meet up with after. It's another group. We just accountability, not mastermind really. So
Well, go for that. I was like, I'm sorry to keep you, and tell them I love them, whoever it is, and I will see you guys next week.
okay, see you
All
next
right.
week.
I love you
Bye.
guys. Bye.